I thought I knew the woman I married until I forgot to turn off the hidden cameras at home and watched my white wife cheat on me live while calling me not our tier because of my skin color. What I heard next about my race, my work, and their family's secret plan to get rid of me before our anniversary bonus kicked in, it changed everything. But instead of exploding, I did something they never saw coming. Something that would give me the ultimate quiet revenge while they watched their perfect little scheme crumble. By the end, she could see the life I built, but it was no longer hers to touch. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because this story of betrayal, hidden racism, and cold blooded payback will show you exactly what happens when someone underestimates a man who knows his worth. The rain drummed against the windshield like tiny fists. Marcus Cole wiped his hands on the shop rag and stepped back from the silver BMW. The headlight he'd just restored gleamed like new, 3 hours of careful work, and now it sparkled bright as a diamond. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a notification from the home security app. Motion detected, living room. Marcus frowned. Sloane wasn't supposed to be home for another hour. Her Thursday board meetings always ran late. He'd installed the hidden cameras 6 months ago after their neighbor's break-in. Smart move, Deshawn had said. Keep an eye on things. But today, he'd forgotten to turn them off before leaving for work. Marcus climbed into his work van and tapped the app. The screen filled with their condo's living room. Empty. Maybe the cat had knocked something over. He was about to close the app when he heard voices. Sloane's laugh echoed through the phone's speaker. But she wasn't alone. Marcus's stomach dropped. A man's voice drifted through the audio. Deep, confident. Not Marcus's voice. "This place smells like industrial soap," the man said with a chuckle. Sloane giggled. "That's Marcus. He works on cars all day. The smell follows him home." Marcus felt his throat close up. He knew that voice now. Bennett Hale, Sloane's personal trainer. The guy with the perfect teeth and the expensive gym clothes. "Poor thing," Bennett said. "Must be hard being married to someone so different." Sloane appeared on camera. Her blonde hair was loose around her shoulders. She wore the red dress she'd bought last week, the one she said was for a client dinner. "He's sweet," she said, moving closer to Bennett. "But not exactly our tier, you know?" Our tier. Marcus sat perfectly still in the driver's seat. Rain streaked down the windows. The world outside looked blurry and gray. On the phone screen, Sloane and Bennett moved toward the couch. The couch where Marcus watched movies with her every Friday night. The couch where she curled up against him and told him she loved him. "He tries so hard," Sloane continued, "always wanting to fit in with my family. It's almost sad." Bennett's hands found her waist. "You deserve someone who belongs in your world." Marcus wanted to throw the phone, wanted to scream, wanted to drive straight home and catch them red-handed. Instead, he closed his eyes and breathed. In, out, in, out. His hands shook as he opened the phone again. They were kissing now. Bennett's hands tangled in Sloane's hair, her red dress bright against the gray couch cushions. Marcus tapped the record button. The app started saving the video feed to local storage. His finger moved without thinking. Screenshot. Another screenshot. The timestamps burned into his memory. 4:47 p.m. Thursday, rain outside, his whole world cracking apart. The phone rang. Deshawn's name flashed on the screen. "Yo, Marcus, you done with that BMW? Wanna grab some food?" Marcus cleared his throat. His voice came out steady, normal. "Still finishing up. Rain's got me moving slow." "All good. Call me later." Marcus hung up and looked back at the screen. Bennett was pulling away from Sloane, fixing his shirt, running a hand through his perfect hair. "I should go," Bennett said, "before your husband gets home." Sloane smiled, the same smile she gave Marcus every morning when she kissed him goodbye. Text me later, she said. Bennett left through the front door. Marcus watched Sloane walk to the hall mirror. She fixed her lipstick, smoothed her dress, checked her reflection from different angles. Then she smiled at herself, a cold, satisfied smile Marcus had never seen before. The living room felt quiet, empty again, like nothing had happened. Marcus closed the app and sat in the silence. Rain drummed on the van's roof. His wedding ring caught the gray light from the window. White gold, simple, classic, just like Sloane had wanted. He started the engine and pulled away from the client's house. The drive home usually took 15 minutes. Today, he took his time, stopped at every yellow light, drove exactly the speed limit, let other cars pass him. He needed time to think. By the time Marcus reached their building, the rain had stopped. Puddles reflected the streetlights. The city looked clean and new. He parked in his usual spot, gathered his tools, climbed the stairs to the third floor like he did every day. The door to 3B stood closed. Behind it, Sloane waited for him. His wife, the woman he'd loved for 3 years, the woman who'd just called him not our tier while cheating on him. Marcus put his key in the lock and turned. Hey, baby, Sloane called from the kitchen. She appeared in the hallway, arms open wide. The red dress was gone. Now she wore yoga pants and one of his old t-shirts. Her face glowed with the same warmth she'd shown him for 3 years. She pressed against him and kissed him long and deep. Her lips tasted like mint. Her hair smelled like expensive shampoo. How was your day? She asked, stroking his cheek. Marcus looked into her blue eyes, searched for some hint of guilt, some sign that she felt bad about what she'd done. Nothing. Good, he said. How was the board meeting? Oh, boring corporate stuff. Janet brought those little sandwiches you like. Sloane smiled and headed back to the kitchen. I saved you some leftovers. Marcus watched her move around their kitchen, opening the fridge, heating up food for him, playing the perfect wife. I had Pilates after the meeting, she said over the microwave's hum. Bennett really pushed us today. I'm exhausted. Bennett. She said his name like it meant nothing, like he was just her trainer, like she hadn't been kissing him 2 hours ago. Marcus noticed her earrings, small gold hoops, the ones she always wore when she wanted to look casual but still pretty. The same ones she'd worn in the video with Bennett. Those are nice earrings, Marcus said. Sloane touched them and smiled. These old things? I've had them forever. The microwave beeped. She pulled out a plate of chicken and vegetables, set it on the counter with a fork and napkin. Eat, she said. You look tired. Marcus ate in silence. The food tasted like cardboard. Sloane chattered about her day, made up details about the meeting, told him stories about her coworkers that might or might not be true. He watched her face while she talked, still beautiful, still the woman he'd fallen in love with 4 years ago at that coffee shop downtown. But now he saw something else, something cold behind her smile. After dinner, Marcus excused himself to use the guest bathroom, the small one down the hall that Sloane never went into. He locked the door and pulled out his phone. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. Text message to Deshawn. Need you to archive those clips. Secure drive tomorrow. Deshawn responded right away. Everything okay? We'll explain later. Just need backup storage. Got you covered. Marcus deleted the text thread and flushed the toilet. Ran the water for a minute. When he came out, Sloane was already in bed, scrolling through her phone. Coming to bed? She asked without looking up. In a minute, Marcus said. Just going to check tomorrow's schedule. He grabbed his laptop and sat on the couch. The same couch where she'd kissed Bennett, where she'd called Marcus not our tier. Marcus opened his calendar app. Tomorrow's jobs looked normal. 2 detail appointments, 1 headlight restoration. Simple work that paid the bills. But now everything felt different. Every dollar he earned, every client he served, every hour he worked, it all meant something new, because now he knew what Sloane really thought of him. The next morning came too early. Marcus woke to his 6:30 alarm, careful not to disturb Sloane. She slept on her side, blonde hair spread across the white pillowcase, peaceful, beautiful, a stranger. He made coffee in the kitchen, the same routine he'd followed for 3 years. 2 cups, his black, hers with cream, and one sugar. His phone buzzed. Text message from a number he didn't recognize. You good? Marcus stared at the screen. The text came from Nora Whitaker, Sloane's younger sister. They barely talked except at family dinners. Why was she texting him at 6:30 in the morning? He typed back carefully. Yeah, all good. You? Just checking. Have a good day. Strange. Marcus pocketed his phone as Sloane wandered into the kitchen. Her hair was messy from sleep. She wore the same t-shirt from yesterday. Morning, handsome, she said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss his cheek. Coffee smells good. Marcus handed her the cream and sugar cup. Sleep well? Like a baby. She took a long sip and sighed happily. I have that downtown meeting today. Think I could get a ride? The downtown meeting. Marcus wondered if it was real this time or another excuse to see Bennett. Can't today, he said gently. Got an early appointment in the opposite direction. Sloane's smile flickered for just a second. No problem, I'll call a car. She kissed his cheek again and headed for the shower. Marcus waited until he heard the water running. Then he grabbed his work jacket and headed for the door. In the van, Marcus pulled out his voice recorder app, started a new file. Thursday morning, he said quietly. Stay normal. Watch patterns. Don't react. He deleted the recording right away, but saying the words out loud helped somehow. Gave him focus. The morning passed in a blur of work. Marcus detailed a Honda Civic for a college student, cleaned years of coffee stains and dog hair from the seats. The kid was grateful, paid in cash with a generous tip. Looks brand new, the student said. You're like a magician. Simple words, but they felt good, real. Honest work for honest pay. Late that afternoon, Marcus sat in his van outside a auto parts store. He needed new polishing cloths, but first he checked the home cameras. The app opened to their living room. Empty. Quiet. Then he spotted them. Bennett's expensive sneakers by the front door, the same Nike Air Max from yesterday. Marcus felt his chest tighten, but he didn't drive home, didn't call Sloane, didn't storm in to catch them. Instead, he opened his notebook app, started a new file labeled Patterns, date, time, location, details. He was building a case, not for a lawyer or a judge, for himself, to make sure he wasn't crazy, to prove what he already knew in his heart. That evening, Marcus repositioned one of the cameras, just slightly, angled it to catch better audio from the front door and entryway. The adjustment took 30 seconds while Sloane was in the bathroom. His phone buzzed, text from Deshawn. Drive ready tomorrow. Want to talk about what this is for? Soon, Marcus replied. Just need to be sure. That night, Marcus and Sloane lay in bed like always, but for the first time in 3 years, they faced opposite directions. She scrolled through Instagram. He stared at the ceiling. The space between them felt cold and wide, like an ocean had opened up in their king-size bed. Sloane's breathing grew slow and steady, asleep. Marcus listened to her dreams and wondered what she dreamed about. Bennett? Her family's money? A life without him in it? He pulled out his phone and opened his notes app, started a new entry. Thursday night, she's sleeping next to me, but she's already gone. Marcus deleted the words and put the phone away. Tomorrow was Friday. Tomorrow he'd learn more, see more, understand more. But tonight, he just closed his eyes and tried not to think about the way Bennett had touched his wife's hair. The alarm buzzed at 6 a.m. sharp. Marcus was already awake. had been for an hour listening to Sloane sleep, watching the ceiling turn from black to gray as dawn crept through the blinds. Coffee, shower, work clothes, the same routine, but everything felt different now, like he was watching someone else live his life. "You're up early?" Sloane mumbled from bed. "Deshaun wants to grab breakfast before work," Marcus said. Not exactly a lie. Deshaun had mentioned breakfast yesterday. Sloane made a sleepy humming sound and pulled the covers over her head. Marcus kissed the top of her blonde hair and left for work. In the van, he drove straight to Deshaun's apartment. Deshaun Price lived in a converted warehouse downtown. High ceilings, exposed brick, the kind of place that looked rough but cost more than most people's cars. "You look like hell," Deshaun said when he opened the door. "Come in." Marcus followed his friend upstairs. Deshaun had been installing security systems for 10 years. He knew cameras and hard drives like Marcus knew car engines. "What's going on?" Deshaun asked, pouring coffee into two mismatched mugs. Marcus told him everything. The cameras, Sloane and Bennett, the racist comments, the lies. Deshaun listened without interrupting. His dark face stayed calm, but Marcus saw his jaw tighten. "You sure about this?" Deshaun asked when Marcus finished. "I got video, audio, screenshots." "That's not what I mean." Deshaun sat across from him at the kitchen table. "You sure you want to go down this road? Some things, once you see them, you can't unsee." Marcus thought about Sloane's smile in the mirror yesterday. Cold, satisfied, like she'd gotten away with something. "I'm already down the road," Marcus said. "I just need to see where it leads." Deshaun nodded. "All right, let's upgrade your system." They spent the morning installing a better microphone near the front door. Hidden behind a picture frame Sloane never touched, the backup drive went under the van's floor, tucked into a custom lockbox Deshaun had welded himself. "This'll record everything," Deshaun said. "Audio, video, timestamps, all saved local and remote. What if she finds it?" "She won't. Unless she crawls under your van with a flashlight, it's invisible." After lunch, Marcus drove to a barbershop in the financial district, got his hair cut clean and sharp. Then he hit the mall, bought 3 fitted casual shirts, dark jeans without holes, a simple steel watch, nothing fancy, nothing that screamed, "I'm trying too hard." Just clean, put together clothes that fit his frame right. The cashier smiled when she rang him up. "Someone's got a hot date." Marcus almost laughed. If only she knew. He stopped at one more store, a boutique that detailed luxury cars, left his card with the manager who promised to call if they needed extra help. "Your work speaks for itself," the manager said, looking at photos of Marcus's previous jobs on his phone. "We could use someone with your eye for detail." 2 new clients called on the drive home, referrals from satisfied customers. Word was spreading about the guy who made old cars look new again. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride. Real pride in his work. In himself. He got home just as Sloane was returning from her book club. She wore a sundress he'd never seen before. Her cheeks were flushed pink. "Hey you," she said, giving him a quick kiss on the lips. "How was your day?" "Good. Yours?" "Oh, you know. The girls just talked about everything except the book." She laughed and headed for the bathroom. "I need a shower. That wine went straight to my head." Marcus watched her walk away, noticed how she didn't look back, didn't compliment his new haircut or clothes, didn't seem to see him at all. He made dinner while she showered, grilled chicken, rice, vegetables, simple food that tasted good, the kind of meal his grandmother had taught him to make. They ate in comfortable silence. At least, it would have looked comfortable to anyone watching. 2 people sharing a meal, a married couple at the end of a normal day. But Marcus felt the distance between them like a physical thing. Every smile Sloane gave him was a lie. Every "how was your day" was theater. After dinner, she curled up next to him on the couch, the same couch where she'd betrayed him yesterday. Her head rested on his shoulder while she scrolled through her phone. "Love you?" she whispered without looking up from the screen. "Love you too," Marcus replied automatically. The words felt empty, hollow, like saying them to a stranger. Later that night, Marcus lay awake listening to Sloane sleep. She made small sounds, tiny sighs and whispers. Sometimes she smiled in her dreams. He wondered what she dreamed about, if Bennett was there in her sleeping mind, if Marcus existed in her dreams at all. His phone sat on the nightstand, silent and dark. The app that showed their living room was just a tap away. But Marcus didn't open it. He already knew what he'd find. Tomorrow would bring more evidence, more lies, more proof that the woman sleeping next to him had checked out of their marriage long ago. But tonight, Marcus just closed his eyes and tried to remember what it felt like to trust someone completely, to believe that love was enough. Those days felt very far away now. The corner cafe buzzed with Friday morning energy. Coffee machines hissed, newspapers rustled, normal people living normal lives. Nora Whitaker sat in the back booth, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug. She looked smaller than usual, nervous, like a bird ready to fly away. Marcus slid into the seat across from her. "Thanks for meeting me." "I wasn't sure you'd come," Nora said. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. She looked so much like Sloane. Same blonde hair, same blue eyes. But where Sloane carried herself with cold confidence, Nora seemed fragile, uncertain. "Why did you text me yesterday?" Marcus asked. Nora stared into her coffee. "I wanted to make sure you were okay." "Why wouldn't I be?" She looked up at him then. Her eyes were red-rimmed, like she'd been crying. "The family never really saw you as permanent," she said quickly. Then she covered her mouth like the words had escaped on their own. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What do you mean?" "Mom's been giving advice about separate rooms for protection." Nora's voice got smaller. "I'm not supposed to tell you this." "What kind of protection?" Nora glanced around the cafe, made sure no one was listening. "Financial protection, in case things don't work out." Marcus nodded slowly. The puzzle pieces were falling into place. Sloane's mother had been planning for their marriage to fail before it even really began. "How long?" Marcus asked. "Since the beginning. Maybe before the beginning." Nora reached across the table and touched his hand. "I'm not blind, Marcus. I see how they treat you, how she treats you." Her fingers were cold, small, nothing like Sloane's perfect manicured hands. "I used to think it would get better," Nora continued, "that they'd see how good you are, how much you love her. But they didn't. They don't want to see it." Nora squeezed his hand. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She stood up quickly, too quickly. Her coffee mug wobbled. "I have to go," she said. "But Marcus, you deserve better than this. You deserve better than all of us." She hurried toward the exit, then stopped and looked back. "I'm sorry," she whispered one more time. Then she was gone. Marcus sat alone in the booth for a long time. The coffee grew cold in his hands. Around him, the cafe emptied and filled again with the lunch crowd. His phone buzzed. Text from Sloane. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." Those words used to make his heart race. Now, they just felt heavy. Marcus drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of traffic and his own thoughts. The apartment felt empty when he walked in, but the cameras would tell him if it really was. He opened the app on his phone. Their living room appeared on the screen, empty. But then he heard voices from the hallway. Sloane's laugh, bright and musical. Bennett's deeper chuckle in response. They appeared on camera together. Sloane wore her work clothes, a fitted black dress with pearls. Bennett wore gym clothes like always. She's at it again, Marcus said to himself. This time he was ready. He opened his recording app, started the backup drive, positioned himself in the van where he could see but not be seen. I need to tell you something, Sloane said on the audio feed. Marcus turned up the volume. Mom thinks we should speed things up, Sloane continued. Get this over with before the 1 year mark. Smart woman, Bennett replied. The longer you wait, the messier it gets. She's setting up some kind of bonus, tied to timing. Sloane moved closer to Bennett. We just have to be careful until then. How careful? Keep him happy. Keep him blind. Sloane's voice was cold, clinical, like she was discussing a business deal. He's good practice for warmth, you know? All that devotion. It's almost sweet. Bennett laughed. Poor bastard has no idea. None at all. He actually thinks I love him. The words hit Marcus like a punch to the gut, but he kept recording, kept watching, kept breathing. What about his skin? Bennett asked. Marcus froze. What about it? Sloane replied. Doesn't it bother you, being with someone so dark? Sloane was quiet for a moment. Marcus could see her thinking on camera, choosing her words. At first it was exciting, she said finally. Different, exotic. But now, she trailed off. Now what? Now it just reminds me how different we are, how he doesn't belong in my world. Sloane's voice was matter of fact, like she was describing the weather. The work van life, the constant smell of grease and soap, it's not sustainable. Marcus closed his eyes, opened them again. The words kept coming. Mom says I've proven my point, that I'm not racist, that I can be open-minded. Sloane laughed. Now I can move on to someone more suitable. Like me? Maybe, if you play your cards right. They kissed then, long and deep. Marcus watched through his phone screen and felt something die inside his chest. He saved the file with shaking hands, labeled it Mirror 1. Then he created a new folder. If needed. Marcus sat in the van for another hour, watched them together on his couch, listened to them plan his emotional destruction. When Bennett finally left, Marcus drove to a gas station, bought a sandwich he didn't want, sat in the parking lot and ate it slowly. His phone rang. Deshawn's name on the screen. You okay? Deshawn asked. You sound weird. Getting weirder, Marcus said. Can you meet me tomorrow? Course. What do you need? Help remembering who I am. Saturday morning brought sunshine, the kind of bright, clear day that made everything look possible. Marcus met Deshawn outside Dr. Len Russell's brownstone. The old surgeon had called the night before, wanted his vintage Mercedes detailed. Word was spreading about Marcus's work. This is it, Deshawn said, looking at the elegant building. Fancy neighborhood. Good people, though, Marcus replied. At least, I think so. Dr. Len Russell opened the garage door himself, tall and lean with silver hair and kind eyes. His wife Kay appeared beside him. Both wore casual clothes, but everything about them spoke of quiet wealth. Marcus, Dr. Len said, shaking hands firmly, heard wonderful things about your work. Thank you, sir. I'll take good care of your car. The Mercedes was a 1985 560 SL. Classic lines, perfect proportions, the kind of car that demanded respect. She's been in the family for 20 years, Dr. Len said, running his hand along the hood. My father's car originally. I can see why you kept her, Marcus said. Beautiful machine. For the next 4 hours, Marcus worked on the Mercedes like it was his own. Every panel, every piece of chrome, every inch of leather interior. Dr. Len and Kay brought him iced tea, asked about his technique, watched him work with genuine interest. You have an artist's eye, Kay said, watching Marcus polish the headlights. This isn't just cleaning, it's restoration. Every car tells a story, Marcus replied. I just help people remember what that story was supposed to look like. When he finished, the Mercedes gleamed like new. Better than new, like it had been touched by magic. Dr. Len walked around the car twice. His wife took pictures. Both of them smiled like children on Christmas morning. Remarkable, Dr. Len said. Absolutely remarkable. He paid Marcus in cash, more than the quoted price. The extra is for artistry, Dr. Len explained. Anyone can wash a car. What you do is different. Kay pressed a business card into Marcus's hand. If you ever need a reference for anything, we're here. Anything at all. Marcus looked at the card. Dr. Leonard Russell, MD, Chief of Surgery, St. Mary's Hospital. Thank you, Marcus said. That means more than you know. Driving home, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in days. Pride, not the desperate kind that came from trying to impress people, the quiet kind that came from doing good work for good people. His phone buzzed. Text from Sloan. Brunch with Mom tomorrow. You should come. Marcus stared at the message. Vivian Whitaker, Sloane's mother, the woman who had never liked him, who had never bothered to hide her disapproval. He typed back, Sure. What time? Sunday morning came gray and drizzling. Marcus dressed carefully. Clean khakis, button-down shirt, the steel watch he'd bought yesterday. He looked at himself in the bathroom mirror, saw a man who worked hard, who treated people with respect, who deserved better than what he was getting. Remember that, he told his reflection. The restaurant was exactly what Marcus expected. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, servers who moved like dancers, the kind of place where a car detailer's weekly earnings wouldn't cover one meal. Vivian Whitaker sat at the best table, perfectly dressed, perfectly composed. She looked at Marcus like he was a stain on the pristine tablecloth. Marcus, she said, offering her cheek for a kiss. How nice. Her tone suggested it wasn't nice at all. Sloane kissed him properly, put on a good show for her mother, the loving wife, the devoted daughter. You look handsome, Sloane said, straightening his collar. Marcus smiled, played his part, the grateful husband, the man lucky to be there. Thank you for including me, Mrs. Whitaker, he said. Of course, dear. Family is family. Family. The word felt strange coming from her lips. They ordered food Marcus couldn't pronounce, drank wine that cost more than his van payment, made small talk about people he'd never met. How's the car business? Vivian asked during a lull in conversation. Going well. Building a good client base. Vivian's expression didn't change. And the long-term plan? Surely you don't intend to wash cars forever. Sloane kicked him under the table, a warning to be careful. I'm exploring opportunities, Marcus said. Maybe expand into restoration work. Classic cars. How ambitious, Vivian said. The word ambitious sounded like an insult. People like you are so lucky, she continued. No pressure for career stability, no family expectations to maintain. People like you. Marcus felt Nora watching him from across the table. Her eyes were wide, apologetic. Mom? Sloane said softly. What? I'm just saying he's free to follow his dreams. Not everyone has our burdens. Our burdens. Like being wealthy was something to endure. Marcus smiled, thanked the server by name when she refilled his water, said please and thank you for everything. He didn't argue, didn't defend himself, didn't rise to the bait, but he listened, stored every word, every look, every subtle insult. On the ride home, Sloane was quiet. Finally, she spoke. Mom only wants what's best for us. Marcus looked out the window, watched the city pass by. I'm sure she does, he said. That afternoon, Nora appeared at the dog park near their building. Not by accident, Marcus knew. She'd been waiting. Hey, she said, falling into step beside him. Hey yourself. They walked without talking for a while. Dogs ran free in the fenced area, happy, uncomplicated. She set up a trust, Nora said suddenly. Marcus stopped walking. What kind of trust? The kind that pays bonuses for clean exits. Before certain anniversaries, Marcus felt his stomach drop. How long have you known? Since before the wedding. I wanted to tell you then, but Nora's voice broke. I was scared, and I thought maybe you could change her, make her better. A golden retriever bounded over to them, tail wagging. Marcus scratched behind its ears, read the dog tag. Lucky. The whole marriage, Marcus said, from the beginning. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Nora was crying now. The contrast optics, the family image, showing they weren't racist. It was all planned. Marcus kept petting. Lucky. The dog's tail never stopped wagging. Simple happiness. Thank you for telling me, Marcus said. What are you going to do? Marcus looked at Nora, really looked at her, saw someone wrestling with her own conscience, trying to do right in a family that had taught her wrong. I'm going to remember who I am, he said. Monday evening, Marcus made a decision. He invited Sloane to dinner with Dr. Len and Kay Russell, a quiet bistro downtown. Nothing fancy, just good people sharing good food. Do we have to? Sloane asked when he mentioned it. They've been good to me. Good for business. Fine, but I can't stay long. Early meeting tomorrow. At the restaurant, the Russells were warm and welcoming. They asked Sloane about her work, listened to her stories about board meetings and corporate strategy. Sloane was charming, funny, the woman Marcus had fallen in love with. But then the slip came. Dr. Len mentioned a medical conference he'd attended, started talking about a presentation on rural healthcare. It's amazing what some people achieve with limited education, he said. Real innovation comes from practical experience. Absolutely, Sloane agreed, though there's something to be said for formal training. Marcus, for instance, is brilliant with cars, but he never finished college. She said it lightly, with a smile, but Marcus heard the edge underneath. Dr. Len's expression shifted slightly. Kay's eyes narrowed. Education comes in many forms, Kay said carefully. Of course, Sloane replied. I just think Marcus could do so much more with the right guidance. The right guidance. Like she was talking about training a puppy. Marcus smiled and changed the subject, but he saw Dr. Len and Kay exchange a look, saw them really see Sloane for the first time. After dinner, they walked to their cars in silence. Nice people, Sloane said as they reached the parking garage. Very nice, Marcus agreed. His phone buzzed. Text from Kay Russell. Your work speaks for you. We see you. Marcus smiled and put the phone away. That night, the power went out in their building. Old electrical system, the super explained. Happens sometimes. Sloane found candles in the kitchen, lit them around the apartment. The flickering light made everything soft and warm. She curled up next to Marcus on the couch, put her head on his shoulder. I hate the dark, she whispered. Why? Makes me feel alone, like no one chooses me. Marcus looked down at her. In the candlelight, she looked young, vulnerable, like the woman he'd fallen in love with. What do you mean? Mom always chose Nora. Daddy left when I was 12. Every guy I dated wanted the family money. Her voice was small, lost. Sometimes I wonder if anyone would love me if I had nothing. Marcus stroked her hair. I would. Even if I was poor, if I had no family name, no trust fund, especially then. Sloane looked up at him. Her eyes were wet with tears. I don't deserve you, she said. Yes, you do. They fell asleep on the couch, arms around each other, like they had in the early days, when everything was simple and new. Marcus woke first. Dawn was creeping through the windows. The power had come back on, but the candles still flickered around them. His phone had been charging. The camera app showed several notifications from earlier in the week. Marcus almost didn't open them, almost deleted them without looking. But he had to know, had to see the full picture. The files from Monday afternoon loaded slowly. Audio first, then video. Sloane's voice filled his earphones, clear and cold. He actually thought I meant it when I said I'd love him if he was poor. She was laughing, as if I'd throw away everything for someone like him. Bennett's voice replied, "Think he suspects anything? Not a chance. He's too grateful to be suspicious, too desperate to fit in." Marcus sat perfectly still. Sloane slept peacefully against his chest, her breathing slow and steady. "The contrast has been good for my image," she continued on the recording, "but I'm ready for the real thing now. Someone who belongs." Marcus closed the app, looked down at the woman in his arms, the woman who had just told him she loved him, who had cried about feeling alone. Maybe she had meant it in that moment. Maybe the candles and darkness had brought out something real. But the recording didn't lie. Neither did the pattern of lies and betrayal. Marcus kissed the top of her head, gently moved her to the couch cushions, covered her with a throw blanket. He went to the guest room, moved some shirts to the closet there. Not everything, just enough to give himself space, to create a boundary. In the bathroom, he looked at himself in the mirror again. "Remember who you are," he said quietly. His phone buzzed. Text from Deshawn. "Fan check today?" Marcus typed back, "Yeah." And mic test. "Need to be sure everything's working." "Everything okay?" Getting clearer by the day. Monday morning came with a decision that felt as final as a door closing. Marcus stood in the guest room, looking at the shirts he'd moved there. Just a few. Enough to send a message. Enough to create space. The main bedroom felt different now. Like foreign territory. He could hear Sloane moving around in there, getting ready for another day of lies. "Marcus," she called, "have you seen my blue earrings?" The gold hoops were gone. Now she wanted the blue ones, the ones she wore when she wanted to look professional, trustworthy. "Check the bathroom counter," he called back. Marcus made coffee, 2 cups out of habit. Then he stopped, looked at the cream and sugar sitting by the second cup. Today felt different, like something was ending. Sloane appeared in the kitchen wearing a navy dress. The blue earrings caught the morning light. She looked beautiful, put together, like a woman who had her whole life figured out. "You're in the guest room now?" she asked, noticing his absence from their bed. "You were tired. Didn't want to wake you." It wasn't exactly a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Sloane studied his face, looking for something. Marcus kept his expression neutral, calm. "Are we okay?" she asked, such a simple question, loaded with 3 years of history. "Are we?" Marcus asked back. Sloane's smile flickered, just for a second, then she kissed his cheek and grabbed her coffee. "Of course we are. I love you." Those 3 words again. They used to fill up his whole chest. Now they felt empty, hollow. "Have a good day," Marcus said. After she left, Marcus sat at the kitchen table and opened his laptop, started typing. "Not a break," he wrote, "a decision." He stared at the words for a long time. Then he deleted them and closed the laptop. His phone rang. Dr. Russell's number. "Marcus, it's Len. Got a minute?" "Of course, sir." "Len, please. Listen, Kay and I have been talking. We'd like to give you a reference for something." Marcus frowned. "For what?" "Whatever you want. Business loan, apartment lease, new clients." Dr. Russell's voice was warm, firm. "Your work speaks for itself, but sometimes people need to hear it from others." "I appreciate that, Dr. Russell, more than you know." "Len and Marcus, you're a good man doing good work." Don't let anyone tell you different. The call ended. Marcus sat in the quiet kitchen and felt something shift inside his chest. Not hope, exactly, but possibility. That evening, Vivian Whitaker appeared at their door unannounced. Marcus opened it to find her standing in the hallway, perfectly dressed as always. Behind her, a driver waited by the elevator. "Mrs. Whitaker," Marcus said, "Sloane's not home yet. I know where my daughter is." Vivian stepped past him into the apartment. "I came to see you." Marcus closed the door and followed her into the living room, the same room where he'd watched his wife betray him, where she'd called him not our tier. Vivian's eyes swept over the space, taking inventory, looking for changes. "You've been rearranging," she observed. Marcus had moved one picture, shifted a lamp, small things, but Vivian noticed everything. "Just spring cleaning," Marcus said. "Hmm." Vivian sat on the couch without being invited. "We need to discuss some practical matters, such as the future, transitions, making things easier for everyone." Marcus remained standing. "I'm not sure I follow." "Of course you do." Vivian's smile was ice cold. "You're a smart young man. You understand that some situations have natural endpoints." The front door opened. Sloane's voice called out, "Mom, what are you doing here?" Sloane appeared in the living room, saw her mother on the couch, saw Marcus standing stiffly by the window. "Just having a chat with Marcus," Vivian said smoothly, "about the importance of family unity." "Mom," Sloane's voice held a warning. "It's fine," Marcus said. "Your mother and I understand each other." He looked directly at Vivian, saw her register the quiet challenge in his tone. "I should go," Vivian said, standing. "Think about our conversation, Marcus. Some things are better handled gracefully." After she left, Sloane turned on Marcus. "What was that about?" "Your mother sharing her wisdom." "She shouldn't have come here without calling." Marcus almost laughed. After everything he'd discovered, Sloane was worried about her mother's manners. "She said you were discussing a break," Sloane continued. "Not a break," Marcus said, echoing the words he'd written that morning. "A decision." Sloane's eyes widened. "What kind of decision?" Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, saw the woman he'd married, the woman he'd loved, the stranger who'd been using him for 3 years, the kind that should have been made a long time ago. The air between them turned cold, electric, like before a storm. "Marcus, you're scaring me." "Am I?" "Yes, you're talking like—" She stopped, started again. "Like you want to leave." "Do I?" "I don't know. Do you?" Such a simple question. The answer should have been simple too. But Marcus looked around their beautiful apartment, at the couch where she'd kissed Bennett, at the kitchen where she lied to him every morning, at the hall closet where Vivian had noticed his overnight bag. The bag had been there for weeks, ready, waiting. "I don't know," Marcus said finally. It was the most honest thing he'd said to her in days. That night, Marcus slept in the guest room by choice. The bed was smaller, less comfortable, but it felt like his. Tuesday morning brought clarity. Marcus woke early, made 1 cup of coffee, dressed in his best work clothes, the fitted shirt, clean jeans, the steel watch. He looked like a man who knew his worth. Sloane was still sleeping when he left for work, curled up on her side of their king-size bed, looking peaceful, beautiful, like she always did. Marcus stood in the doorway for a moment, memorizing her face, the way her blonde hair spread across the pillow, the tiny frown lines between her eyebrows. 3 years of mornings, 3 years of watching her sleep. "Goodbye," he whispered. At noon, Marcus met Nora at the same cafe where she'd warned him. She looked better today, less fragile, like she'd made some decisions of her own. "Thank you," Marcus said as they sat down. For what? For being honest? For telling me the truth when no one else would? Nora stirred sugar into her coffee. I should have told you sooner, before the wedding, before you got in so deep. Would I have listened? Probably not. You loved her. Love makes us stupid sometimes. They sat in comfortable silence, two people who understood betrayal, who knew what it felt like to be expendable in their own lives. I won't go public with any of this, Marcus said finally. Nora looked surprised. Why not? You could destroy her, expose the whole family. That's not who I am. Even after everything they've done? Marcus thought about Dr. Russell's words, about dignity and good work, about the man he saw in the mirror every morning. Especially after everything they've done. Nora reached across the table and squeezed his hand. You're better than all of us. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday. That afternoon, Marcus returned to the apartment. Their apartment. The place that had been home for 3 years. Sloane wasn't there, working late again, or with Bennett. It didn't matter anymore. Marcus packed a small bag. Just essentials. Clothes for a few days, his tools, the backup drive Deshawn had hidden under the van. He left his key on the kitchen counter, right next to the coffee maker they'd bought together, the one with the timer that made coffee every morning at 6:30. Such a small thing. A key. But it felt huge. Final. Marcus looked around the apartment one more time, at the pictures on the walls, the furniture they'd chosen together, the life they'd pretended to build. Then, he walked out and closed the door behind him. Deshawn lived 15 minutes away. His spare room was small but clean, a bed, a dresser, a window that looked out on the city. You sure about this? Deshawn asked as Marcus set his bag down. More sure than I've been about anything in months. She's gonna call, text, show up here. I know. What are you gonna say? Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, felt the weight of the day settling on his shoulders. Nothing. I'm done explaining myself to people who don't want to understand. That evening, Marcus's phone buzzed. Text from Sloane. Where are you? Your key is on the counter. Marcus stared at the message for a long time. Then, he typed back. I won't come in uninvited anymore. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Can we talk? Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., I'll text you the address. Marcus, please, we can fix this. He turned off his phone without responding. Wednesday morning, Marcus woke in Deshawn's spare room. Sunlight streamed through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered. He was free. His phone had 17 missed calls from Sloane, 12 text messages, 2 voicemails he didn't listen to. Instead, Marcus got dressed and went to work. He had 3 appointments, 2 regular clients, and 1 new referral from Dr. Russell. The work felt different today, cleaner, like he was polishing away more than just dirt and scratches. At lunch, he stopped by a small electronics store, bought a thumb drive, plain, simple, nothing fancy. He labeled it carefully with a black marker. Mirror. That evening, Marcus sat at Deshawn's kitchen table with his laptop. The video files were all there, organized by date, time-stamped, clear audio and video. He didn't need all of it, just the essential pieces. Sloane's words about his race, about not belonging in her world, about the marriage being temporary, about loving him being impossible, her truth in her own voice. Marcus edited carefully. No nudity, no private moments, just words, just the mirror she'd been holding up without knowing it. The final video was 3 minutes long, silent except for her voice, her choices, her real feelings. Marcus copied the file to the thumb drive, ejected it safely, put it in his shirt pocket. Tomorrow night, Sloane would see herself clearly for the first time, and Marcus would finally say goodbye. His phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Dinner at home tomorrow, 7 p.m. Will you come? Marcus stared at the message, recognized Sloane's words but not her number. She'd gotten a new phone, or borrowed someone else's. Desperate moves from a desperate woman. He typed back, yes. Tomorrow would be their last evening together, the end of their story. Marcus set his alarm for 6 a.m. He had work to do before then, a final chapter to write. But tonight, he slept better than he had in weeks. Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock sharp. Marcus stood outside the apartment building he'd called home for 3 years. The same glass doors, the same marble lobby. But everything felt different now. He carried a small bag, takeout containers from their favorite Thai restaurant, pad Thai for him, green curry for her, the same order they'd shared dozens of times. Tonight would be the last time. The elevator ride to the third floor felt longer than usual. Marcus checked his reflection in the polished steel doors. Clean shirt, steady expression. The steel watch caught the overhead lights. He looked like a man who knew exactly what he was doing. The door to 3B was unlocked. Sloane had left it open for him. A small gesture that once would have felt welcoming. Now, it just felt like another performance. Marcus? Sloane's voice called from the kitchen. It's me. The apartment looked exactly the same. Their wedding photos still lined the hallway. The couch where she'd kissed Bennett sat perfectly arranged. The coffee maker still programmed for 6:30 a.m. But the energy was different, tense, like the air before lightning. Sloane appeared in the living room wearing the blue dress she'd worn on their first date. Her hair was styled the way he used to love. Everything calculated to remind him of better times. You came, she said softly. I said I would. Marcus set the food containers on the dining table, same table where they'd eaten breakfast together for 3 years, where she'd lied to him every morning. I got our usual, he said. You remembered. I remember everything. They sat across from each other. The distance felt like miles. Sloane picked at her curry but barely ate. Marcus ate slowly, steadily, like a man with all the time in the world. The apartment feels empty without you, Sloane said. Does it? Marcus, we need to talk about this, about us. Okay, let's talk. Sloane leaned forward. Her blue eyes were bright with unshed tears. I know things have been difficult lately. I know I haven't been the best wife. What kind of wife have you been? The question hung in the air between them. I've been. Sloane stopped, started again. I've been confused, scared, making mistakes. What kind of mistakes? You know what kind. Marcus set down his fork. Do I? Tell me. Please don't make me say it. Say what? Sloane's composure cracked slightly. I've been seeing someone. Bennett. It didn't mean anything. It was just, I don't know, excitement, escape. Marcus nodded like she was discussing the weather. How long? Does it matter? To me, it does. 6 months, maybe 7. Marcus did the math in his head. Their second anniversary was 8 months ago. She'd started cheating almost immediately after. Why? He asked. I don't know. I was bored, restless. You were always working, and I felt, she gestured helplessly, alone. So you found someone to keep you company. It wasn't like that. What was it like? Sloane stood up, paced to the window. Her reflection looked back at her from the dark glass. You wouldn't understand, she said finally. Try me. It's complicated. The differences between us, the way people look at us together, the things my family says. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. What things do they say? Nothing important, just. Sloane turned from the window. Just that we're from different worlds, that it was always going to be temporary. Temporary? That's not what I meant. What did you mean? Sloane moved back to the table. sat down carefully, like she was walking through a minefield. I meant that love isn't always enough, that sometimes people grow apart, that sometimes we realize we want different things. What do you want? I want us to work. I want to try again. Marcus reached into his shirt pocket, pulled out the thumb drive, set it on the table between them. What's that? Sloane asked. A mirror. I don't understand. Marcus stood up, walked to the TV mounted on the living room wall. The same TV where they'd watched movies together, where she'd fallen asleep against his shoulder during romantic comedies. He plugged the thumb drive into the side port. The screen flickered to life. Marcus, what are you doing? Showing you something. Marcus used his phone to connect to the TV's audio. The screen stayed black for a moment. Then, Sloane's voice filled the room. Clear, cold, unmistakable. He's sweet, but not our tier. On the screen, timestamp showed 3 days ago. Audio only, but her voice was crystal clear. Sloane's face went white. Where did you get that? The cameras you forgot I installed. More audio played. Sloane talking to Bennett about Marcus being good practice for warmth, about his dark skin, about the work van life being unsustainable. Turn it off, Sloane whispered. Not yet. Now came the phone call with her. Mother? Vivian's voice advising speed, the family plan to accelerate the separation, the trust bonus tied to timing. Please turn it off. Marcus kept watching Sloane instead of the screen, watched her face crumble as she heard herself. Her real voice, her real thoughts, her real feelings about their marriage. The recording ended. The room fell silent. Sloane stared at the black screen. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I didn't mean, she started. Yes, you did, Marcus said quietly. Those things I said. I was angry, confused. I say stupid things when I'm upset. For 6 months you've been saying stupid things? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Help me understand. Sloane wiped her eyes, smeared her perfect makeup. You're taking this out of context. What context makes it okay? I was venting. People say things they don't mean when they're frustrated. Marcus walked back to the dining table, sat down across from her. Do you love me? He asked. Of course I love you. Have you ever loved me? Sloane hesitated, just for a second, but Marcus caught it. Yes, she said, I do love you. In my own way. What way is that? I... She struggled for words. I love the man you are. Your kindness, your work ethic, the way you treat people. But love isn't always enough to overcome everything else. Everything else like what? Like the differences between us, like the way the world sees us together. Marcus leaned back in his chair. The way your world sees us together. That's not fair, isn't it? Your family, your friends, your social circle, they all think I don't belong. That's not true. Your mother offered me money to leave gracefully. Did you know that? Sloane's face went pale again. She what? Yesterday, while you were at work, she came here and made it clear that my time was up. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. But you knew about the trust, about the bonus for clean exits. Sloane said nothing. How long have you known? Since the beginning, she whispered. Marcus felt something break inside his chest. Not his heart. That had broken days ago. Something deeper. Something final. So, the whole marriage was what? A performance? No. It started real. I did love you. I do love you. But not enough to fight for us. Not enough to tell your family to back off. Not enough to choose me over their money. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Marcus stood up, walked to the kitchen counter where he'd left his key 3 days ago. It was gone now, probably in Sloane's purse. He pulled out a folded piece of paper, a letter he'd written that morning. What's that? Sloane asked. Instructions for the plants, changed passwords for the streaming accounts, a goodbye. He set the letter on the counter, next to the coffee maker that still knew their morning routine. You're really leaving? I already left. This is just the goodbye. Sloane stood up, moved toward him. Marcus, please, we can get counseling. We can work through this. Work through what? Your racism? Your family's bigotry? The fact that you've been planning to leave me since before we got married? I was young. I made mistakes. People change. Do they? Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, saw the woman he'd fallen in love with, the woman who'd broken his heart, the stranger who'd been using him for 3 years. I hope you do change, he said. I hope you learn to see people as more than their social status or skin color. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. I want you to be that someone. No, you don't. You want me to be grateful for the scraps, to accept being your dirty little secret, to pretend I don't hear the things you say about me. Marcus walked to the door, turned back one last time. Thank you, he said. For what? For showing me who you are, and for showing me who I am. He left the steel watch on the dining table, next to the empty takeout containers and the thumb drive that held her truth. Then, Marcus walked out the door and closed it softly behind him. In the hallway, he pulled out his phone, called an Uber. While he waited, he read his own letter one more time. Sloane, the plants need water twice a week. Netflix password is changed to Truth Matters 2023. Take care of yourself. Find someone who deserves you and who you can respect. We both deserve better than what we had. Marcus. The Uber arrived. Marcus climbed into the back seat and gave the driver Deshawn's address. As they pulled away from the building, Marcus looked back once, saw Sloane's silhouette in their third-floor window. She was standing perfectly still, watching him leave. He felt sad for her, but not sorry. The next morning, Marcus woke in Deshawn's spare room, feeling lighter than he had in months. Sunlight streamed through the windows. The city hummed with life outside. His phone had been silent all night. No calls from Sloane, no desperate texts, no attempts to explain or apologize. Maybe she finally understood. Marcus showered and dressed in his work clothes. He had 2 appointments scheduled. Dr. Russell's neighbor wanted his BMW detailed. Another referral from satisfied clients. The work felt good, clean, honest. At lunch, Marcus drove to a quiet neighborhood across town, looked at a small studio apartment above a mechanic's garage, month-to-month lease, clean space with good light, perfect for a fresh start. I'll take it, Marcus told the landlord. When can you move in? This afternoon. By evening, Marcus had moved his few belongings from Deshawn's place to his new studio. One bag of clothes, his tools, the backup drive with evidence he would never use. The space was small but felt like home. His own walls, his own rules, his own life. Marcus stood at the window looking down at the street. A matte black coupe was parked at the curb. His car, purchased with money he'd saved from 3 years of honest work. Not a Lamborghini, just a reliable coupe with clean lines and good engineering. But it was his. 2 days later, Nora appeared at the studio door carrying a small potted plant. Peace offering, she said, holding up the green leaves. For what? For being part of a family that hurt you. Marcus let her in, made tea in paper cups. They sat by the window and talked. How is she? Marcus asked. Shaken, quiet, mom's furious, but Sloane won't tell her what happened. Good. She asked me to ask you something. What? Will you ever forgive her? Marcus thought about it. Really thought about it. I already have, he said. Forgiveness isn't for her. It's for me. Nora smiled. You're a better person than any of us deserve. I'm just trying to be the person I want to be. After Nora left, Marcus updated his business website, added new photos of his work, raised his rates slightly. He was booked solid for the next 2 weeks. Dr. Russell had recommended him to 3 colleagues. Word was spreading about the guy who treated every car like a work of art. Saturday morning brought rain. Marcus drove to his first appointment of the day, a vintage restoration job for a collector downtown. As he turned onto the quiet residential street, Marcus saw a familiar figure on the sidewalk. Sloane stood under a cafe awning, holding a to-go coffee cup. She saw his car, waved hesitantly. Marcus slowed down, looked at her through the rain-streaked windshield. She was beautiful as always, put together, perfect. But she was also a stranger. Marcus nodded politely, the way he might acknowledge any acquaintance on the street. Then he drove on to his appointment, to his work, to his life. In his rearview mirror, he watched Sloane get smaller and smaller until she disappeared completely. Sunday morning, Marcus sat in his studio apartment watching the sunrise, coffee in hand, schedule full, bank account growing. His phone buzzed. Text from Deshawn. "How you doing, brother?" "Good, really good. Want to grab breakfast?" "Can't. Working." "On Sunday?" "Every day ends in Y." Marcus laughed as he typed it, felt the joke all the way down to his bones. He had places to be, cars to restore, a life to build, and none of it required anyone's permission but his own. Later that morning, Marcus loaded his equipment into the matte black coupe. He had a client waiting across town, another referral, another opportunity to do work he loved. As he drove through the city, Marcus caught glimpses of his reflection in store windows, a man who knew his worth, who didn't apologize for taking up space, who had learned the difference between love and respect. Sometimes, at red lights, he noticed other cars, couples inside, families, people building lives together. Marcus felt no envy, no bitterness, just quiet satisfaction with the road he'd chosen. His phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus Cole Auto Detailing. "Is this Marcus? I got your number from Dr. Russell. I need someone to detail my daughter's car for her graduation." "I'd be happy to help. When do you need it done?" "Next week, if possible. She's worked so hard for this degree. Wants everything perfect." Marcus smiled. "I understand. Let's make sure her car looks as good as her accomplishment." After he hung up, Marcus caught his own eyes in the rearview mirror. He looked happy, really happy. Not the desperate kind of happy that came from proving yourself to other people, the quiet kind that came from knowing exactly who you were. The light turned green. Marcus drove forward into his Sunday morning, into his new life, into a future that belonged entirely to him. Behind him, the past grew smaller and smaller until it was just a dot in the distance, and ahead of him stretched an open road.